Hello, my wonderful friends. I have a little object lesson that I'm going to share with you. Object lesson is when we take just regular objects and use them to help us to learn. So we're going to use an object lesson in science to talk about temptation. And so what I have here, I have a jar, I have a balloon, I have a piece of paper, straw, and a lighter. Now if you want to try this at home, make sure you have parents' help. Do not do this without a parent's help and without them giving you some guidance. The first time I did this in my house, I set off the smoke alarm, so that was fun. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to light this piece of paper on fire. And then I'm going to put it in my jar. And then I'm going to put the balloon on top. Do you see what's happening? Do you see it? You see it? This balloon is like us. This jar is like temptation. We're being sucked into it, can't get out of it. We need something to come along and save us. Got this straw. I'm gonna put it in here and watch what happens. Woo! Release the balloon. Let's talk about this. Temptation. Us. We are getting sucked into temptation. Now, science-wise, the balloon's getting sucked into the jar because the fire and the smoke is taking away the oxygen. So in taking away the oxygen, it's pulling that balloon into there. And the balloon doesn't just release on its own. So I could lift up the balloon and the jar would just be hanging there. We needed something to break that suction, something to add the oxygen back into the jar to release that balloon. So when you put the straw there, the oxygen could get in through the straw and add the oxygen back into that jar to release the balloon. Why do I do this? Temptation. This jar is like temptation. This is us, and we're getting sucked further and further into temptation. And the more we get sucked in, the harder it is to get out on our own. And sometimes feels impossible. We're pulling, and there's just no letting go. So we turn somewhere else. We turn to Jesus, we turn to God, we turn to scriptures, and we look for that help to release us and add that life back in to release us from temptation so we don't fall into sin. And so if you go on in the lesson, keep scrolling down in that email, and we're going to talk about how do you use Jesus and the Bible and God and our faith to be released from temptation so that we don't fall into sin.